Hello, Canadian Immigration Institute family. This is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, coming to you live on my Canadian Immigration Institute page. So usually I record these videos within my Express Entry Law private Facebook group, but I wanted to test out some of my broadcast software right here on our Canadian Immigration Institute page. Now, those of you who happen to be watching, I would love for you to just post a little hello in your comment section and let me know where you're tuning in from. It's interesting how Facebook has changed a lot of the ways in which we are able to reach our audiences. And I found that it has become increasingly difficult for me to reach members of my own group even. But I would love to see those who just happen to be watching or tuning in to my Canadian Immigration Institute page to just connect with me, interact. And for those of you who take the time to connect with me, I will actually take some time to answer any question that you may have regarding Canadian immigration. So my Express Entry Law private Facebook group is designed specifically for answering questions about express entry. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to open this up to anything Canadian immigration related and answer questions. So as people start to pile in, and I'm now seeing people that are, just post a comment, and I'm just experimenting to see how well the comment section works. And even if it does work with this new little software program that I have. So in the interim, I'm going to get on my own phone here and I'm going to connect and make sure that I am logged in myself just in case the comments don't work, because I'm actually not even seeing any right now other than the thumbs up that people are giving me. So give me a second. I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to go to my Canadian Immigration Institute page. Oh, there we go. The first comment popped in. It does work here. I'm excited. Nishal. Awesome. So Nishal says, I've applied for Canadian citizenship in September and my application has been in process since November 2017. When can I expect a test invite? Well, when it comes to citizenship applications, it's all over the map. I've got some right now that were submitted last September that are still in the queue. So I wish I could tell you, Nishal, that you can expect a response right away. But there is no exact timeline. And if you look right now, well, let's take a look. Let's have some fun right now. We're going to open it up. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And I'm going to go right here to the source of all goodness, which is the processing times. And we're going to take a look right now and see exactly how long the government is currently posting as, and right now it's a citizenship grant. And so let's see, we'll say we applied after April 1st. And guess what? Do you see right here? And lots of you guys, when you're wondering about processing times, it's easy to access it right here. All you have to do is type cic.gc.ca. You can go in there and then search processing times, or you can just Google IRCC processing times, CIC, whatever, and you can get to this. But you can see for citizenship, so if you're submitted on or after April 2015, 12 months is what the processing times are. So, and this was last updated July 1st. So there you go. All right. Okay. So next we have here, Thota says, I'm here too. CELPIP versus IELTS. Great question. Many of you who learned your English here in Canada, sometimes I find that you have an easier time with the CELPIP because it's a Canadian accent. Canadian terminology, the nuances, the little differences between UK or Australian English sometimes can cause some problems for people who learn to speak English here in Canada. So you've come, you've worked, you developed your English, and now you're writing the CELPIP. Others who learn or I should say those who learned English in the US or received their first introduction to English in the US, sometimes CELPIP is easier. But for the rest of the people all over the world, IELTS often is more comfortable to them just because of the accent of the instructors and the the language that you're listening to. So That's one of my recommendations that I tell my clients. But the reality is, if you have the ability to write the CELPIP or the IELTS and you don't get as good a score in one or the other, then go take it in the other one. Maybe the format of the test is something that throws you off. So over the years, immigration has changed a ton. And one of the things that we've learned is that it's not a set 100% guarantee anymore. When I started my practice, I realized very quickly that because of my experience working as an immigration officer, because of the relationships that I had with even the officers that were currently still working, I could solve almost every single problem. I could fix anything. But over time, things changed. The government made processes much more rigid. They removed a lot of the discretion from officers. And because of that, it became increasingly difficult for me to give clients 100% guarantees, or at least very clear direction and advice on the best pathways to take. So now, though, I've completely changed my strategy. Now I encourage clients all the time, if you have an option that's available to you, take it now, act on it. But if you have another one, then try that one out too. And if it means you have multiple applications going at the same time, then don't hesitate to do that. The one that makes it through, great, then cancel the other one. But if there's an option available to my clients now, I advise them to take anyone that's available, because you never know if it's actually going to result in you getting permanent residence or a work permit or whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. All right. Next question. All right, this one is from Hind. And Hind says, hi, sir, can you show us how to fill in personal history? It shows an error for me while filling my application. Okay, I wish I could show you right now, but it's not quite possible. The errors that you get are often related to improperly completing one of the sections within the personal history. But the reality is it's different for everyone. And sometimes it's just a glitch with the computer. So for example, this morning, we received a notification from one of our clients that there was some next step that was happening within Express Entry. And when I went to the client's profile within my representative portal, I realized very quickly that there was a problem, because every time that I clicked on the link to open up the notification, it took me to an error page. And so the officer who had inserted that letter, they didn't do something properly. So understand that it doesn't matter who you are. There's going to be different experiences when you're interacting with this online world. So for you, Hind, I can't tell you exactly what the problem could be, but usually there's something that you haven't completed properly that's generating the error. So I wish I could give you more information than that. Anyways, I love this. My product is working like it's supposed to. I may very well shift these Express Entry Live Q&As over to my Canadian Immigration Institute page. Those who are tuned in and are watching live right now, I want you to let me know if you are a member of my Express Entry Law private Facebook group. If you are, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, give me a thumbs down. And I want to count and see how many people that are watching this are also members of my Express Entry Law private Facebook group. That group, as many of you know, is almost at 115,000 members, which is massive. And it's virtually impossible for me to answer everyone's questions now. But our group here is, members, those who have liked the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page are actually almost 25,000, which is really cool. So I just want to do a little test here. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Hind, you're very welcome. Sorry I couldn't give a better answer to you. Okay, Thota says, my NOC is 2281, which is in New Brunswick, but their guide says it will give priority to those who attended information sessions. Thota, I hate the PNPs. When it comes to people who are immigrating directly, in other words, they don't have a connection, they haven't worked in that province, they haven't studied in that province, I, as an immigration lawyer, don't represent them because it's volatile and you don't pay me enough to sit around and wait till the program opens to cram your application in as quickly as possible. So realistically, I'm just not able to give you value for the dollars that you'd have to pay me. So people that are here in Canada working or have a connection, I obviously help them all the time with their provincial nominee program applications across the country, but they're often employer-based. But when it comes to individual applicants applying, I don't assist with that. So I won't be able to answer that question, Thota. Okay, Nishal says, I am not. Okay, great. Hamza says, Hamza is a member. Thota is a member. Hind is a member. Thundi is not. Cool. Okay, let's see what Kamal has to say here. Kamal says, hello, sir. I moved from Toronto to Edmonton. I've worked 2 years in Second Up coffee shop in Toronto. Now I am a supervisor, at Second Cup in Edmonton. I calculated my points. Turns out after a couple of years of experience as a supervisor and CLB 9, which is not easy to get, it says here, I can collect 450 points. Is it worth waiting for 2 years or should I try something else? Thank you. That is an awesome question, Kamal. I'm glad you asked that one. 2 years ago, there were approximately 250,000 foreign students working in, going to school, studying in Canada on study permits. 1 year later, there are almost a double. Well, maybe there's more than double. I think the last figure was right around 500,000. And many people are probably wondering, well, why is that? Well, guys, the reason is express entry. If you're not ranking high enough, everybody knows if you study in Canada, you can get an open work permit, you can work and gain Canadian work experience, and all of those points will help you to score higher. And especially if you're under 400 points, the comprehensive ranking system points, then you need something else to increase your score. And so when you're with your situation, Kamal, there is no guarantee that 450 points is going to be good enough in 2 years. And so trying to predict that far down the road is really tough. It could be that the new pass mark is 470 because of all the international students who now have Canadian work experience just like you. So I can't answer that. At the end of the day, one of the advantages to working here and getting a work permit is that that employer may be in a position, if the economy changes, to then offer you a job offer based on a labor market impact assessment. And they're possible to get in some places depending upon the unemployment rates. And in Edmonton, I was looking just for another client who was a fast food restaurant. In Edmonton, the unemployment rate dropped below 6%, which means that that employer can hire or employ through the foreign worker program 10% of their workforce as foreign nationals. And so just recently, Kamal, and I'm pretty sure it was Edmonton. Actually, no, do you know what? That was Grand Prairie. That was Grand Prairie. I stand corrected. Let's see, Kamal. Actually, let's see. I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to show you my screen again. Let's see if we can figure it out. So ESDC, Temporary Foreign Worker Program. I'm going to see what the, if we can find, let's see, refusal to process. Let's see if it's on this list. Okay, see if we can find it. All right, I'm going to pull this up. And so if you're in certain industries, there's a cap on low wage. And so they often will have basically so that you can only, individuals can only be hired if their wage is a low wage, then there's only a certain number that can be hired for each company. And so ESDC, and let me find the link right here. I'm going to search for the unemployment rates in specific locations. Okay, here we go. Yes, here it is. So let's see what the situation is. So anything under 6%, then the company can't obtain a labor market impact assessment for you. Anything, I should say, above 6% unemployment rates. So let's take a look here and see for Alberta and Edmonton. So right now, Calgary, Edmonton. Edmonton is still at 7.4. So if you are a low wage position, then that company is not going to be able to get a labor market impact assessment for you, as long as those unemployment rates remain higher. But as I indicated, I just looked at Grand Prairie, and the Grand Prairie totals, if I can find it right here, Grand Prairie, you can see this one right here, as of July 1st, is 5.8. So the company that I was consulting with, they can now actually go through the process of converting some of their postgraduate work permit students to labor market impact assessments. If they can prove there's no Canadian that can fill the position. All right. So fun times. Good stuff. Okay. So Karine is not a member. And that's totally cool if you guys aren't, because if you're not trying to immigrate through express entry, then there's no point joining the express entry law private Facebook group. Okay, and this is the first time I've ever done a live video right on the Canadian Immigration Institute page. So I'm just experimenting with it. And some of you also may have sent me messages, and you'll see that I've got a little bot, ManyChat, that answers initial questions. It's because I can't personally. I am it, guys. Like Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer. I am it. I am the face. I am the technician. I am the artistic director and the creator. And I'm the tech person who often does a terrible job trying to do these videos. But hey, it's all about the content. So I just do the best to give my best to you guys that are actually tuning in live. Okay, we got a bunch of other things. Where are you listening from? I want you guys just within this, the comment section, I want you to post where you're listening from as well. And eventually I'll get to it. But I'd love to hear and see where you guys are all tuning in from. Okay, let's see. Okay, Baljit says, hi, sir. Hello. Okay, Ali says, my cousin in Canada has applied under humanitarian and compassionate grounds. It's been 8 months now. Can he apply for asylum as well? Don't waste your time. Ali, if your cousin is genuinely coming from a country where he's fearing persecution, where he can prove that he has a well-founded fear of that persecution, and there's a bunch of other tests, but if he's a genuine refugee, then that should have been the first decision that he made, not an H&C, if it was genuine. But if not, then it all comes down to the humanitarian and compassionate grounds associated with why the government should allow your cousin to stay. And H&Cs are very volatile. It's not easy. And so it takes time, and often it will take almost a year before an initial decision is made. So your cousin's just going to have to be patient. One of the challenges is that your cousin probably doesn't have a work permit to be able to support himself or herself. So that's one of the drawbacks too with H&C applications, is there's no guarantee that you can get a work permit. Although there are a few strategies if you are destitute and can really justify it to get a work permit that is supported by a temporary resident permit. But that's a whole different discussion. That's much more complicated. And you need to reach out to some of us Canadian immigration lawyers to sort that strategy out. All right. Okay, Abdullah says, hi there, I'm scoring 430 on the CRS scale. That's the maximum I can get. Already have a CLB 10. Any chances of securing an ITA in the near future in 2018? Abdullah, I would say the chances are extremely low. And one of the reasons that I say that, if we go back and I share my lovely screen with you fine people again, and we go back to the rounds of invitations, and then I pull this up, and then I'll show you here. So you can see here's the rounds of invitations. So June 25th, that was when the last draw was, 442. And we can go here, and if you scroll down, you can see how many people are sitting in the queue. Now remember, this isn't current. Okay, there's been lots of changes. We're coming into almost, well, over 3 weeks here since this was done. So these numbers are not accurate. They're just a reflection. But you can see people that are in the range of 431 to 440, well, there's already 8,000 in there. And if the last draw that we had it drew 3,750, you can see that it's going to be, well, there's going to be people pouring in with that score anyways. But right now it's sitting at 8,000. And if you, my friend, are sitting at 430, then you're in this range where there's another 5,874. So the reality is it's really, really unlikely that you're going to be able to get drawn. So what are the solutions? Just like everybody else understands, consider studying in Canada, find a way to get work experience in Canada, maybe a job offer from a Canadian company, which I understand is really tough. But I can tell you that I'm sensing a change in our economy. I'm sensing things improving and getting better. And so I don't think it's going to be too long before companies are going to be able to start hiring foreign nationals again, because there are no Canadians or permanent residents available or qualified to fill those positions. So patience, patience, patience. All right. Let's see. Baljit says, I have less than 1 year experience. Is it possible to apply for PR? Nope. You need at least 1 year of skilled work experience. That's the minimum standard, no matter how you're applying. Let's see. Ali says people with no status or are waiting for decision under the H&C grounds. Their kids aren't going to school since 19 months. How kids 9 to 4 can go to school? You know what? It depends on where you're living. In some of the larger centers in Canada, they can be kind of cruel. And with those children, even if they're the subject of an H&C application, they can still apply for a study permit for them. But I know there's a lot of school divisions, especially in my fine province of Alberta, where the school division is going to let the kids study, and they're going to work out whatever they need to, to accommodate the children. Now I'm not posting or saying that that's the practice of every school division, but usually kids will be able to study through a study permit, which you'd apply for. And once you've got the study permit, then you can go to school. But there are some school divisions that will even let the kids study even without it, although it's not authorized by law. So I'm not even saying who they might be, but we'll leave it at that. Some of the rural ones in particular. Okay, Thodas says, last question, I promise. No, it's not. It's not your last question. You're going to ask a whole bunch more. Okay, he says, last question. I have 3 bank accounts where I'm maintaining my proof of funds in one of the accounts. My question, do I have to mention all my accounts with including credit debts? Thank you very much. Yes, you do. If you look at the instructions from IRCC, it specifically tells you that your accounts need to list all of your assets, all of your debts, including credit cards. So you do. Many people will not, and they'll choose not to. But I can tell you with my clients, I absolutely advise them to disclose everything, because just because you carry a high credit card balance doesn't mean that your credit card balance of $15,000 Canadian is going to offset the funds that you have saved to use for proof of funds. They look at everything. And so straight debt and the amount of loan that you owe doesn't subtract directly from the proof of funds that you have to demonstrate. Your payments might be low, and that may be the only factor that the officer's looking at. But I always do exactly what the government says, and I don't take any chances. Okay, Jesse says, hi Jesse, how you doing? All right, let's see who else we got here. Tunde says, hello, do you help with asylum or H&C grounds for someone who wants to live and work in Canada? I do not help with asylum. I don't do refugee matters at all. If someone is here in Canada and there is a justification, in other words, I go through and I can see that there is a significant grounds for filing an H&C application, then I'll do it. And I do file H&C applications for my clients. But if you're outside of Canada, no, I don't. All right. Kamal says, thank you very much. Pravir gives me a thumbs up. Thank you, my friend. Jesse says, I'm on a multiple entry visitor visa visiting my mother. Great. She had a fall and had surgery. She needs my help, but she's alone. Well, Jesse, then you can book a consult with me. And I wonder if I can even post my own. I think I can. That's what I love about this now that I'm in groups. You can just go to this link right here, and I'm going to post it. Once I copy it here, I'm going to post it right in. You can go right to this link and book a paid consult with me, and then I will be able to canvass the likelihood of an H&C and whether there's other options that might be available. All right, Francis says, hi Mark, recently applied for PR through the PNP by mail. It would be a month since I applied. Would you have any idea how long it takes to get a receipt of confirmation and how long it takes to process? Thanks. Not a clue. Not a clue. Every PNP is different. The mailing system is different. I sure hope that you took a copy, a complete copy of that application, and you have it in your possession. And I sure hope you sent it via registered mail and that you have a tracking receipt for who signed for it. If you didn't do that, that would have been a huge mistake, Francis. Okay. Jesse says, can I extend my stay? My visa will expire in November. Depends. It just depends. You can always apply to extend, but you have to have grounds to support it. Okay, here we go. So Pravir's in Vancouver. Cool. Francis is in Banff. Awesome. What a wonderful place to be right now. Beautiful weather. Just unbelievable place Banff is. Second favorite to my Waterton, my dear Waterton down here. Nitin says, question on parent PR. I'm from Alberta. Is there any second category to get PR for parents? No, you got to go through the lottery. And they will sometimes offer a second round of invitations, depending upon how many people applied, were drawn, and given an invitation to apply for permanent residence for their parents, but didn't qualify. So they will usually have a second draw, but you just have to wait and be patient. Okay, Thoda is in US. Awesome. Humza is in New Brunswick. Cool. Natalie, John Williams, listening from Trinidad and Tobago. Natalie, you know my son's going out there, isn't he? He's got his visa. He's actually getting ready to go to Suriname. But Trinidad, Port of Spain, Suriname, Guyana, ABC Islands, all that's a part of the mission that he's headed to in the middle of September once he's healed from his ACL surgery. And he's doing awesome. All right, very cool. Welcome. Tunde is US. Very cool. Marie, I don't know the flag. Marie, I don't know the flag. Okay, Francisco, how can I contact you? Francisco, you can just go and you can go through that link that I posted below here. I think it showed up. Yeah, there it is. So you can see my post here, and it's under the Canadian Immigration Institute. It's that www.stringham.ca/immigration-mark-Holthe. So that's the best way to reach me. Okay. Karen says, listening from Toronto. Cool. International student. 1-year program. Still unemployed. Can I apply to the Express Entry with 1-year program? You know what, Karen? It all comes down to your human capital factors and how many comprehensive ranking system points that you get. And I'll be honest, anyone who comes over to study for just 1 year, I would never, ever do it. Don't ever, ever do it, because there is not enough time to get a job after, to get at least 1 year of Canadian skilled work experience. It just isn't worth it. And a 1-year program, unless it's a master's or something like that, which most masters are not even 1 year, I just wouldn't do it. So I'd recommend that you find a way to extend your study permit and keep studying. If you have applied for your postgrad already, you're going to burn it up and it's going to be a waste. So anyone listening to this, do not, under any circumstance, come and study for just 1 year. It's not worth it. If you get 2 years of skilled work experience, then you're going to be in a position where you're going to be able to get a 3-year postgraduate work permit. And then things can really happen. There's time to get a job. There's time to get experience. All right, great question. Nazrul says, hello, hi. Mayuri says, I'm having a work permit in Canada. Can I call my husband on my work permit? Spousal open work permits are only available if you're working in Canada as a skilled worker, so NOC B or higher, and your work permit has been issued for at least 6 months. In those circumstances, your husband can apply, but I know for a fact visa offices in some countries can be cruel, and they can refuse to grant the work permit even though they're entitled under these international competitiveness provisions within our Immigration and Refugee Protection Act and regulations. So there's no harm in applying, but there's no guarantee you'll get it. But if you meet those requirements, then you're eligible. Okay, Abdullah says, well, I'm almost done with my master's degree. I knew that it would boost my CRS points to somewhere near 460. But the thing is, once I'm done with my master's, I need to get my ECA updated, and that would be done by April 2019. Your ECA updated. It shouldn't take that long to get an ECA. If you completed your master's, it should be quicker than that. The question is, my IELTS certificate expires in October 2019. Can I still apply with the same IELTS certificate? My IELTS certificate would be valid for another 5 months by then. When it comes to IELTS, like it has to be valid at the time in which you submit that you get your ITA, and valid at the time in which you submit your electronic application for permanent residence. If it expires before then yes, it will expire. But Section A 11.2 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act stipulates the circumstances in which someone, how long or how valid documents are, and when they expire, how they potentially impact on an application, depending upon the stage in which it's at. And so the A11.2 criteria, and you know what, I'll show you guys. You can see, this is me, Mark Holthe, once again, showing everybody where all of the magic answers come from. If you type in A11.2 and then EE and maybe CIC or IRCC, it doesn't matter. It will pull up this link right here. And this is where you can see how officers view the expiry of certain documents when they're locked in and when you don't have to worry about it, and when they're not and when you do. And so this right here gives explanations for an officer to determine whether or not an application is complete and can be accepted, and at what stage certain documents, the expiry of those documents will result in them having to refuse your application, even after getting an invitation to apply. So I'd recommend you take a look at that. All right, and there's my link as I scroll through these awesome comments. Jesse says, sir, my mom lives alone in Edmonton. She had a bad fall. Yep. So book a consult with me, Jesse, and we can go over all of that. Okay. Some of you guys are duplicating your questions, which delays things for me. Okay. Okay. So these duplicated ones I'm skipping through. Abdurrahmani says, I am from Slave Lake. Very cool. Welcome. Francis said, I sent my PR application through priority mail and got a signature upon delivery. Awesome. Very good. Muhammad says, my score is 445. What is my chance? Well, if your score is 445, you got a pretty good chance. But a lot of factors play. Timing, the rounds of invitations go up and down. When is your age? Are you turning, are you older than 30? Because then points start to drop. So all of these things play a role. People seem to think that express entry is so easy. It's not complicated until they get their applications refused. And then they call me or book a consult, and then there's nothing that I can do. So I always recommend people, one, they pay attention to all of the thousands of hours of content that I've produced all over about express entry. Watch these live videos or spend the $210 Canadian to book a 30-minute paid consultation with me through that link I shared here. And you're going to get your questions answered quickly. Ultimately, you can also book, you can hire me to represent you fully. So we do all of that within our office here in the lovely province of Alberta. Okay. Anurada. Boy, I'm learning to pronounce a whole bunch of different names. You guys can pronounce Holthy. So you give that a good whirl at home, pronouncing my name, because I know people, they screw it up all the time. Okay, hi Mark. I've submitted my application on March 8th and have not received any feedback. My account says it hasn't started my background check. Guess what? Then they haven't started it. So you're going to have to be patient. They will sit on things. It just depends on the officer. It depends on if someone goes away on holidays. There is no set timeline other than they try to process 80% of the applications in less than 6 months. That's it. Anything in between there is just purely speculation. All right. Lewis is from New Jersey. Welcome, Lewis. Humza says, hi, Mark. Quick question for CEC, express entry applicants. Would you still recommend to attach proof of finances, although CIC says it is not required? Nope. Do not waste your time. It is not required in any way. Ajwa says, I'm a student and I've been in Canada for almost 3 years. Can I apply for my PR? I have 6 years working experience from Ghana. If the work experience prior to coming here is within the last 10 years and it meets all of the requirements to be considered work experience or foreign work experience under the ministerial instructions for express entry, then yeah, you can. It's definitely possible. Let's see. Nazrul gave me a thumb up. Great. Muhammad says, hi, how much time they need to reply me for acceptance or refusal of spousal sponsorship? Oh, okay. How long does it take to get your reply? It's hard to say. It could be 3 months, could be 4 months, could be 5, 6. Depends on why they would refuse it. Hopefully your marriage is not a marriage of convenience or some fraudulent one. Marie, there you go. Philippines. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Abdullah says ECA with ICAS takes about 4 months and I'll be done with my master's by November. Question that I asked were answered. Thanks, man. You're a star. Remember, we're 2018 this year too, everyone. Okay. Tanika sent me a happy face, smiley face with hearts over the eyes. I have no clue what that means. All right. Awesome, guys. So anyway, so this is just a little test just to see how well it works and to see who actually listens to it. I'm going to go back and check it out and just monitor the reach. And if it looks like more people are able to see this and watch it, then great. I will go out of my way to make sure that I do live videos here that are available for everyone, and to answer all kinds of immigration, because people have questions not just about express entry, about everything. And I wager there's no one out there that's doing live videos like this. And the reason I do it is because I want you guys to get to know me, to trust me, to know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer. I'm a former immigration officer. I am a former high school teacher. I have 4 kids. I have a wonderful wife. I live here in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and this is where I practice from. And this is why I do all of this, because I'm not in a large center like Lethbridge. Wait a minute. I am in Lethbridge. Lethbridge isn't a large center. I'm not in a large center like Toronto or Vancouver or even Calgary for that matter, right? And so if I was to rely on just the people in Lethbridge to support my immigration practice, I would never be able to survive. But because of this wonderful world of Facebook, the live video capacity I have to bring people on, have them ask questions live, and you guys see me answering them, well, I hope that it will give you reason to trust me that I know what I'm doing. And I've created a complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. I highly recommend that those of you who have not yet joined my my mailing list, that you do that. And I'm trying to think, I'm not sure if I updated it here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I'm going to jump back to Facebook. I am going to go to my express entry law page. Wow, storm's rolling in there, it looks like, on that feed. And at the top of my express entry law page, I've got a special offer for my members of the group, 50% off full representation for express entry. But within these comments here, if I can see all of them, they make it really difficult, Facebook. I have a link right here where you can log in and, well, you can access it, and I'll put it, I'll actually copy it, and I'll put it, now that I have the ability to do this, right in the comment section here. This is where you can join my mailing list. And within this mailing list, you are going to get a bunch of different stuff, including access to my very, very best videos on express entry. And I have not released these to anyone, guys. I'm going to go and I'm going to show you here my YouTube channel. I think my YouTube, I'm connected here. Okay, yes. So this is my Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel. If you have seen it, that's great. If you haven't, you need to get over there and check it out. All of my past videos are all listed here. All my past guests, tips of the day, everything else here. And when I go to my Creator Studio, I will show you guys something else. Actually, I crossed over 8,000 subscribers. Very cool. So I have here some unlisted private videos, these numbered ones here, with my absolute best content. Top 5 reasons your express entry application's rejected. How dependents can mess up your application. How to ensure your police clearances are correct. What if I don't have proof of funds? How to increase language scores. What do I do if I can't get a reference letter? So these are just some. I've got 15 of my top videos that are available, and all you have to do is just subscribe to the mailing list. And Abdullah says, how much do you charge process an entire application, sir? My gold package, which is full representation, I actually just recently, I usually charge $5,000, but for people that are members of my private Express Entry Law Facebook group, I have a special offer. But you'll need to go in and look at it and find it there if you want to get access to it, because I'm not advertising it to the world. Okay, but I guess maybe I am indirectly advertising it to the world, at least for this stage, because this is public. Okay, so anyways, you guys need to go, and just flipping back here, go to, actually, I'm going to flip here. There, that's where I'm going to. So go to the Express Entry Law private Facebook group and click on, well, actually, you don't even have to. Click on that link that I just posted in the comment section and subscribe. And then as I go forward, I'm going to be making further announcements. I'm going to be providing notifications of new great content that I produce. And that reminds me, guys, do you see everything that I've got going on here? Many of you probably don't even know about this, which is the Canadian Immigration Podcast. If you guys have listened to an episode in the past, give me a thumbs up. So I want to see thumbs up for anyone out there who's actually listened to one of my past podcasts, because I just did an awesome one just on Friday, all about police certificates and about why you do not need to take, you can't take them lightly. And I invited my good friend, Sharish Tritalia, who is based in Edmonton, an immigration lawyer up there, and she's wonderful. And so you can get it here. You can get it on iTunes. You can subscribe, whatever you want to do. But the Canadian Immigration Podcast website has all my past episodes on tons of different topics. Okay. So you guys can check that out too. But who has actually listened to one? That's what I want to see. Okay. Faizan says, getting paid from a third party, is it acceptable in a job that you are not claiming points? Why would they ask proof of employment of a job that I'm not claiming points? Faizan, they're not going to ask for anything about any work history that you have not put in your work history of Express Entry. When you're submitting your profile, only include the work experience you're claiming points for. And if you're claiming points for them, then they are going to ask for a reference letter. But in terms of you wanting proof of employment from a job that that you're not claiming points for, the only reason that they are going to ask is if you actually put it in your work history. Don't do it. In the personal history, that's where you list everything that you've done for the past 10 years. But don't waste time putting it in your work history. Okay. Dr. Khan says, hi, Mark. I have come to Canada on a work permit and have been in Canada for the past 5 months. I don't have any work experience from my home country. Can I apply for PR? No, you cannot. Not until you've accumulated at least 1 year of skilled work experience. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. I think I've shared pretty much everything that, I think I've shared pretty much everything that I've got. You've seen my Canadian Immigration Podcast. You've seen the Canadian Immigration Institute. I have my complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. And the best way to access that is, actually, do you know what? The link doesn't work anymore because I'm changing hosts of my podcast, of the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide. But if you want to have access to it, you can just send me a notification, and you can see here, that's my email. So mholthy@stringham.ca. Now, I don't answer any specific questions for free. Anything specific has to go through my consultation, which, as I showed you before, let's see if I actually have it still here. I don't. It's this site. You can go right here, and this is where you go to book a consult and to set up an opportunity for me to answer all of your Canadian immigration questions. So it's $200 for a 30-minute consult, but I have to charge 5% GST, and that's where the $210 comes from. All right. I think, guys, I see all these thumbs up. That is awesome, guys. Lots of people have watched the podcast. That's super awesome. Go to iTunes, and you can actually subscribe to it right. If I show you here, you can go right to your podcasts and on iTunes, and you can see I've got a few here, but I've got my own right now. So you can access it right here. Okay, Sam, I'll answer one last question here. Mark, I submitted my EIPR in February. My police certificate is about to expire in August. Should I upload a new one, or should I wait for them to ask me for it? You're locked in, man. You don't have to get a new one. As long as that police clearance met the requirements at the time in which you submitted your EIPR, you're locked in, Sam. So Sam is a longtime listener. Great to have you join me, my friend. A proud member of my Express Entry Law private Facebook group as well. Okay, guys. And there's Mauricia, one of the moderators of my group. She's checking it out here too. Mauricia rules. She is awesome. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap this one up. And those of you who are tuning in or are hoping to tune in tomorrow to the Express Entry Law private Facebook group for my EE Live Q&A, I am actually going to have to change it. And the reason I'm going to have to change it is because of this right here. So this one here, I'm going to zoom in. You guys have to check this out. I'll keep the mic here so you can still hear me. But here, so check this out right here. Right there. Okay, you see that? See that moving? It's actually locked in pretty hard. This is a fake tooth. Right there. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it moving. That tooth, I'm getting my dear brother-in-law, who is an oral surgeon, is going to put an implant in for me. And that's why I've had these stupid braces for the last year well, it's almost been a year. I think it was, when was it? It was like November or something like that. No, when was it? It was the end of August last year that I got them. And so I have an appointment with my orthodontist to get these wires off, at least the wire, so my brother-in-law can go in and stick that new implant in, and I have to go right at noon. So I'm going to experiment and see how the timing is. I may try to do it a little bit earlier, but the reality is most people watch it as a recording anyways. Some watch it live, but most watch it as a recording. And so I'll try to give people notification in the morning when I first get into the office. But yeah, it's all good. Nizam says, hello, I need your phone number. Nizam, the best way to reach me is to book a consult through the consult page that is right here. And I think I have already posted the link to it. So I'm going to put it right below your comment here. That is, if it shows up. I'm going to put it right on here. Did it work? Maybe. Oh, I've got a whole bunch of new posts here. There it is. Okay. So that is the link. That's the best way to reach out to me. Phone is not a good way to reach out to me because I cannot answer everybody's phone call. And we don't offer free advice over the phone. And that's why I do these videos, to give as much free advice as I can to as many people as possible. All right. All right. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks so much for watching here, this very first Facebook Live right on my page. I hope you enjoyed it. And there's no real set time for it. It's just, at this stage, I'm just experimenting. But I love the fact that I can now see my comments and answer in a whole lot easier fashion, and even post links where I couldn't before. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, signing off. Take care.